Alright, history buffs, gather round. For years, we've been fed this narrative that ancient Rome was, like, the empire. The biggest, the baddest, the togarist. They had legions, colosseums, and a pretty good PR team, I guess. But what if I told you that while you were busy memorizing Latin phrases, there was another empire out there that makes Rome look like a quaint little city-state? An empire so vast, so influential, that it literally shaped the world we live in, and yet, crickets. Yeah, nobody taught you about this one. Prepare to have your perception of world history flipped like a pancake. We're talking about an empire that stretched from the freezing steppes of Siberia all the way to Central Europe, from the coasts of East Asia deep into the Middle East. It covered more land mass than any other empire, ever. Not just Rome, but the British Empire at its peak. And yet, somehow, it's often a footnote in our textbooks, a historical oopsie we skim over. It's time to pull back the curtain on the real reigning champ of colossal kingdoms. That's right, folks. We're talking about the Mongol Empire. And before you picture a horde of wild, uncivilized barbarians, hold up. While they were undeniably fierce warriors, their story is so much more complex, fascinating, and, frankly, cooler than that one-dimensional caricature. They weren't just about conquering, they were about connecting the world, creating systems that sound almost modern, and building an empire that was, well, shockingly progressive in some ways. Seriously, your history teacher skipped the good stuff. So, why the historical cold shoulder? Why wasn't this monumental force taught alongside Caesar and the pyramids? Part of it is likely a Western-centric curriculum. We tend to focus on what influenced Europe directly, and the Mongols, while certainly impacting Europe, did their most transformative work across Asia. Plus, let's be real, barbarian hordes is a much easier narrative to digest than complex, sophisticated empire with groundbreaking logistics and surprisingly tolerant policies. Simpler, not better. But hey, that's why you have us. At the heart of this colossal empire was one man, Genghis Khan. Born Temujin, he wasn't exactly handed the keys to an empire. His early life was a real-life survival show, complete with betrayal, poverty, and a whole lot of nope moments. But this dude didn't just survive, he thrived star. He wasn't just a military genius, he was a political mastermind, an organizational wizard, and, dare I say it, a strategic visionary. We're talking about a guy who took scattered, warring tribes and forged them into the most formidable fighting force the world had ever seen. And you thought your team meetings were tough. Temujin's early years were brutal. Orphaned, abandoned, and even enslaved, he had every reason to give up. But instead, he learned to navigate the cutthroat politics of the Mongol steppe. He formed alliances, broke alliances, and eventually, through a combination of charisma, cunning, and sheer willpower, began to unite the constantly warring Mongol tribes. This wasn't just about brute force, it was about convincing diverse groups of people, who normally hated each other's guts, to work together. Think about that for a second. Try getting your family to agree on dinner, let alone uniting an entire continent. Once united, Genghis Khan unleashed a military machine unlike anything seen before. Their army wasn't just big, it was incredibly organized, disciplined, and ridiculously fast. Imagine an army that could cover 60 miles a day, thanks to their superb horsemanship and a system where each warrior had multiple mounts. They pioneered combined arms tactics, psychological warfare, and siege techniques that would make any modern general nod in approval. These weren't just riders, they were a mobile, strategic powerhouse. Forget your Roman legions, the Mongols were the ancient world's special forces. Okay, let's talk numbers because numbers don't lie. The Roman Empire, at its absolute peak, covered about 5 million square kilometers. Impressive, right? Well, hold on to your chariots, because the Mongol Empire stretched over a staggering 24 million square kilometers. That's almost 5 times bigger than Rome. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the size of Africa and North America combined. Think about that next time someone gushes about Roman roads. The Mongols built an entire continental highway out of sheer willpower and good horsemanship. The secret weapon? The Mongol horse archer. These guys were basically living, breathing, mounted machine guns. They could ride at full gallop, turn 180 degrees, and unleash a volley of arrows with terrifying accuracy. Their compound bows had immense power, capable of piercing armor. It wasn't just about shooting, it was about coordination, feigned retreats, and encircling maneuvers that utterly baffled their enemies. Imagine fighting an army that literally moved like the wind, striking from every direction, then vanishing. Pretty hard to counter when your cavalry is still trying to get in formation. Here's where it gets really interesting and where the barbarian myth starts to crumble. Genghis Khan established a universal legal code known as the Yasa. This wasn't just "don't steal my horse or else." It was a sophisticated set of laws that covered everything from military discipline and taxation to religious freedom and environmental protection. Yes, environmental protection, way before it was trendy. It promoted meritocracy, ensured safe passage for merchants, and even standardized weights and measures. Try finding that in some civilized empires of the era. And speaking of the Yasa, one of its most surprising tenets was absolute religious freedom. While many European powers were busy crusading and persecuting, the Mongols were like, believe what you want, just pay your taxes and don't cause trouble. This attracted skilled artisans, scholars, and merchants from every corner of their vast empire, leading to an incredible exchange of ideas and technologies. Imagine that, an empire known for its conquests, also known for its live and let live policy. Mind blown. Again. Your history teacher definitely glossed over this part. After the initial, shall we say, enthusiastic expansion, the Mongol Empire ushered in an era known as the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace. This was a period of unprecedented stability, safety, and cultural exchange across Eurasia. With banditry suppressed and trade routes secure, goods, ideas, and people flowed freely from east to west and back again. It was basically the ancient world's version of a globalized economy, all thanks to a bunch of horsemen. Forget the Wild West, this was the wonderfully wired East. The Pax Mongolica breathed new life into the ancient Silk Road. For centuries, this network of trade routes had been fragmented and dangerous. But under Mongol protection, it became safer and more efficient than ever. Imagine a superhighway connecting China, Persia, and Europe, allowing spices, silks, technologies, and even diseases, spoiler alert, to travel vast distances. This wasn't just about luxury goods, it was about the fundamental exchange of human knowledge. Your Amazon Prime delivery has nothing on this ancient super-fast shipping. Want to talk about modern innovations? The Mongols had a postal system called the Yam, which was basically the ancient world's internet. It was a relay network of post houses and riders that could transmit messages across the empire at incredible speeds. Messengers would travel up to 200 miles a day, ensuring rapid communication and intelligence gathering. This system was crucial for governing such a massive territory and for military command. Forget carrier pigeons, the Mongols invented FedEx, 700 years early. While paper money originated in China, it was the Mongols who really pushed its use and spread it across their empire. Imagine a world where your shiny gold coins are replaced by paper. Revolutionary stuff. They also facilitated the spread of printing technology from China, which would eventually kickstart a knowledge revolution in Europe. So, the next time you're printing a document or paying with a bill, give a little nod to the Mongols. They were basically beta testing the future, and nobody gave them credit. Another major technological transfer facilitated by the Mongols? Gunpowder. Yeah, the stuff that eventually changed warfare forever. Invented in China, gunpowder technology, including early cannons and rockets, made its way westward along the secure Silk Road routes under Mongol dominion. It reached the Middle East and eventually Europe, fundamentally altering military strategies and accelerating the development of modern firearms. So, when you think about the invention of guns, remember the Mongols were the delivery service that made sure everyone got the memo. Perhaps the most famous Western eyewitness to the Mongol Empire's grandeur was Marco Polo. His epic journey to the court of Kublai Khan in China exposed Europeans to a level of sophistication, wealth, and technological advancement that was simply mind-boggling. His tales of paper money, efficient postal systems, and vast cities seemed like fantasy to many, but they were very real. Polo's account helped spark European curiosity about the East, paving the way for future exploration. Basically, he was the original travel blogger, but with way more risk and way less Instagram. After Genghis Khan, his grandson Kublai Khan took the reins in the eastern part of the empire and achieved something truly remarkable. He conquered China and established the Yuan dynasty. Imagine a foreign conqueror not just ruling, but becoming the emperor of China. Kublai Khan was a true cosmopolitan ruler, embracing Chinese culture while maintaining Mongol traditions. His court was a melting pot of cultures, religions, and sciences. This wasn't just a military occupation, it was a complex act of cultural integration and sophisticated governance. And just when you thought you knew everything, get this, the Mongols even tried to become a naval power. Kublai Khan launched 2 massive invasions of Japan in the late 13th century. While both were ultimately thwarted by typhoons, dubbed kamikaze or divine winds by the Japanese, the sheer scale of these naval expeditions is astounding. Building thousands of ships and mobilizing tens of thousands of men, mostly Koreans and Chinese, for a sea invasion was an epic undertaking. They weren't just landlocked horsemen, they were seriously trying to conquer the high seas. Talk about ambition. The Mongol Empire was a giant cultural blender. Imagine all the best ideas from China, Persia, Central Asia, and even Europe, swirling together and producing incredible advancements. Astronomy, mathematics, medicine, cartography, knowledge from across the known world converged, was translated, studied, and often improved upon. This cross-pollination of ideas was a direct result of the Mongol policy of religious tolerance and secure trade routes. So, if you're ever wondering where some amazing ancient tech came from, chances are the Mongols helped move it along. And it wasn't just big ideas. Food, glorious food, also traveled the Mongol routes. Noodles from China made their way westward, evolving into different forms of pasta. Spices from India and Southeast Asia reached Europe more easily. The exchange of agricultural techniques and crops led to a more diverse diet across Eurasia. So, the next time you're enjoying a bowl of spaghetti, you can thank the Mongols, in part, for that delicious journey. They were the original food delivery service, uniting palates across continent. Bet you didn't learn that in culinary school. So, if it was so great, why isn't it still around? Well, even the biggest empires eventually crack under their own weight. The Mongol Empire was simply too vast to be governed as a single, centralized entity indefinitely. After the death of Kublai Khan, it gradually fractured into several independent khanates, the Golden Horde, the Ilkhanate, the Chagatai Khanate, and the Yuan dynasty. Each was powerful in its own right, but the unified Mongol Empire as Genghis envisioned it slowly faded. It's tough managing a continent, even with super-fast postal systems. The Mongol legacy didn't just vanish. For instance, the Golden Horde's rule over Russia, which lasted for centuries, profoundly shaped Russian history and culture. It influenced everything from their political structure and military organization to their taxation systems and even elements of their language. While often viewed negatively, this period also isolated Russia from Western Europe, fostering a distinct identity that continues to this day. Talk about a historical butterfly effect. Nobody taught you that Russia's unique path was partly forged by a distant Mongol horseman. Similarly, the Ilkhanate, another Mongol successor state, profoundly impacted Persia, modern-day Iran, and the Middle East. While initially devastating, Mongol rule eventually led to a flourishing of Persian art, architecture, and science, especially astronomy and mathematics. The Mongols adopted Islam and became patrons of culture, creating a unique blend of Mongol and Persian traditions. Think stunning minarets and intricate calligraphy, but with a dash of steppe nomadic flair. They brought new ideas, and the locals made them sparkle. Again, this wasn't just destruction, it was a complex cultural dialogue. So, when we talk about great empires, what are we really measuring? Is it just military might, or is it also cultural exchange, administrative innovation, and long-term global impact? If we look beyond the typical Western-centric lens, the Mongol Empire isn't just great, it's arguably one of the most consequential forces in human history. It literally shrunk the world by connecting East and West, laying groundwork for globalization centuries before the term even existed. And yet, this monumental achievement is often left out of our collective historical consciousness. Seems like a massive oversight, no? Let's tackle the biggest misconception, the barbarian label. Yes, the Mongols were brutal in conquest, but so were many empires, including Rome. What sets them apart is what happened after conquest. They often integrated conquered peoples, promoted their talents, and facilitated an unprecedented flow of knowledge. Labeling them merely as destructive barbarians strips away their sophisticated governance, their embrace of innovation, and their role as cultural conduits. It's a convenient, but ultimately inaccurate, simplification. Don't fall for the easy narrative. The Mongol impact is a historical butterfly effect that continues to ripple through time. From the eventual rise of Moscow as the center of Russia, to the dissemination of Chinese inventions like the compass and printing to Europe, to the very genetic makeup of populations across Eurasia, their influence is undeniable. Think about how different our world would be if the Mongols hadn't connected East and West in such a profound way. We'd probably still be waiting for some crucial tech updates. Thanks, guys, for the world-changing downloads. So, here's the kicker. The Mongol Empire is often the missing piece in our understanding of global history. Without it, the narrative of how East and West interacted, how technologies spread, and how different cultures influenced one another is incomplete. It's like trying to understand the internet without knowing about the World Wide Web. This isn't just some obscure historical factoid, it's fundamental to understanding the interconnected world we live in today. It's time to put the Mongols back in the history books, front and center. If you ever wonder about the origins of our globalized world, look no further than the Pax Mongolica. It was a premature globalization, a forced intermingling of cultures and economies that laid the groundwork for future trade networks, explorations, and cultural exchanges. The sheer scale of their empire meant they couldn't help but connect disparate regions, creating a truly global marketplace of goods and ideas. They were the original think global, act local strategists, just with more horses and way better bows. This whole nobody taught you about it thing isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a challenge. A challenge to question the narratives we're given, to dig deeper, and to realize that history is far richer and more complex than what fits into a standard curriculum. The Mongol Empire is a prime example of how much incredible, world-shaping history is out there, waiting to be rediscovered. So, next time you hear about an empire, ask yourself, is there an even bigger, more fascinating story hiding just beneath the surface? Even though the unified empire eventually broke apart, the Mongol spirit endured. From the Mamluks of Egypt thwarting their western expansion, to the countless communities who adapted and thrived under their rule, the story is far from simple. They left an indelible mark on everything from linguistics to genetics, from political structures to culinary traditions. Their story is a testament to human ambition, adaptation, and the incredible, often surprising, ways that civilizations interact. It's truly an epic for the ages. Let's put our two heavyweights side by side for a quick comparison. Rome was undoubtedly impressive with its engineering and legal systems. But the Mongols? They took a raw, untamed land and, in a remarkably short time, created an administrative and military leviathan that connected continents and ignited a global exchange of ideas and goods. One built roads and aqueducts in a smaller, more centralized domain. The other built invisible highways of culture and commerce across a colossal, diverse landmass. Different beasts, but only one earned the biggest ever title, hands down. So, the next time someone starts gushing about ancient history, and they inevitably bring up Rome, you can casually drop some knowledge about the Mongol Empire. Watch their jaw hit the floor as you explain how this colossal, continent-spanning power did things they never imagined. This isn't just about winning a historical debate, it's about appreciating the full, rich tapestry of human achievement. There's so much more to history than what fits in the standard textbooks, and the Mongol Empire is arguably the biggest, most exciting secret they kept from you. It's genuinely wild to think about an empire of this magnitude, with such profound and lasting global impact, being largely relegated to the margins of popular history. It forces us to confront our own biases in what we choose to remember and what we choose to teach. Are we focusing on the right stories, or just the comfortable ones? The Mongol Empire demands a more prominent place at the historical table, not just for its conquests, but for its unparalleled role in connecting the medieval world and laying the foundations for the modern era. It's time for a history correction. What can we learn from the Mongol Empire? Plenty. Their story teaches us about the power of unity, the importance of adaptable strategies, and the unexpected benefits of cultural exchange. It also reminds us that innovation isn't exclusive to one region or one culture, and that leadership can emerge from the most unlikely places. Most importantly, it's a lesson in challenging conventional wisdom and seeking out the untold stories that truly complete our understanding of humanity's incredible journey. The steppe has spoken, and it's got some wisdom for us. As we move forward, a more inclusive and accurate understanding of world history is becoming increasingly vital. The story of the Mongol Empire isn't just a fascinating tale from the past, it's a blueprint for understanding global interactions, cultural diffusion, and the complex forces that shape our present. By shining a light on these forgotten empires, we gain a much richer perspective on where we came from and where we might be going. So, let's keep digging, keep questioning, and keep unearthing the incredible truths that history has waiting for us. So, are you feeling inspired to dive deeper into the world of the Mongols? Because you totally should be. This is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. There are entire sagas about individual khans, epic battles, scientific breakthroughs, and cultural fusions waiting for you. Don't let your history curriculum be the end of your learning journey. The world is full of amazing stories that are often overlooked. Go forth, fellow history detectives, and uncover more of these incredible hidden truths. And there you have it. The Mongol Empire, bigger than Rome, incredibly influential, surprisingly progressive, and tragically overlooked in most standard history lessons. It's truly one of the world's biggest historical secrets, and now you're in on it. You're welcome. Now go impress your friends, family, and maybe even your old history teacher with your newfound, mind-blowing knowledge. And remember, history isn't just about dates and names, it's about understanding the complex, incredible journey of humanity. Thanks for watching.